Hello, I am Khairani Barokka, or Oka, and I'm going to read to you from my debut collection, Rope, out with 9 Arches Press. Sticky notes not included. Thank you to Jane Kamain for publishing this book and for facilitating this video, and to Helen Dewberry. Thank you for captioning it. Pool. Stunt, little children, sea foam light, backyard blues, splat, splutter. Held breath so long, crash water in ears, friend's father scolds. I'd laughed. Any small child, next to any small child, is considered its friend. God help. Hold breath again. Steal yourself. Steal with 2 E's. F train comes engorging fist first into the belly of the stop like blood from warm places, dripped on the platform and dried. Stoop girl. That's red you remember and recognize from Friday. You packed a jam sandwich but won't get to eat it now. Just a few meters down and you're holding breath solid, suspended vision in a tunnel of piss. No rain, no sunlight. Always 3 a.m. Mother's earrings you leave behind on the dresser and revised historical fantasy, rattling instead, clickety-coo, under rodents' feet, not so far from your own persistent ankles. Tsunami pilgrims. We seek out pain in lurid glimpses. Bent palm, shell from Loch Nga, where waves hit the treetops and deluge the cement plant. Near the leftward curve of the bay, a marooned ship's chemical bullion leaching out into the Indian. Do I sell these things in little jars? Hone memories tongue-wrapped for relatives, repasts, parsed words and round vowels, tasting like rawness and salt water? We wrap in plastic and oblong displayed for the vendors a foible as goodness, and follow others' nightmares here to the sea. Letter to a miscarried sister. I've been thinking of how to love someone who was neither birthed nor weaned. The arcane in the blood, the imaginary in families, how we conjure for ourselves the ventricles of safety, arteries of permanence, succor in the face of another, clanning allegiance from a clot of blood. How we can tell that someone has left or never departed if our grief has been buried or cleared from the pith. If you are as mud-scraped and vicious as I am, it would be a comfort. I see you winged, purple, bloated, made of leaves, cracked glass. I have been less humble. If you grant me salvation, I will grant you respect. This is a form of apology. This is a form of want. Temple of Literature, Hanoi. Nothing is simple, says a man in his sleep. Doubtful. Many things less fussed with tangle. Days before, 5 temple courtyards the light threshed through, giving just myself joy. Corpus shaking with insect sounds, barraging violent in constant treetops. No sin unforgiven by cicadas, cracked double with the weight of how Homo sapiens break and chafe all these terrors, storming bats we split and split ourselves. Arthropods cackle plain. 2 schoolgirls tracing prayers on the red-painted wall with index fingers. Watch them speak to the gods, like thieves casing haze and cloudlets for some of that peace. Triptych. 1 hymn. Thank you, claws in muscle and bone, for tearing me whole to bring into being this naked, barefoot heart, this wild, heart-slinging, blood ribbon slicing precision thin. This gasping makes me whole. I am all cells awake, my aorta to dirt, my limbs ground to pain and rising so many times, my breasts leak sky and phoenix wing. Thank you, abysses, rock bottoms, cruel mind, false masters, morasses of salt. I am singing. 2. The anaerobic crumple begins again in quiet, in the dark, red habit. You fold us in, eyes too open, meaning brave. Cracked paper, you and I, miasma, origami, and patience and breath. 3. Asymmetry's electrical thunderstorm. Lightning splints the ribs, splits the fist, tempest temper in the palm. Dawn. This next poem is called Pineapple, and it requires a little bit of background information. So I wrote this after seeing an enormous painting of a pineapple and realizing that I had been avoiding pineapple for much of my life up to that point because of I guess you would call it an old wives' tale or a grandmother's rumor that eating a lot of pineapple causes vaginal discharge. So yeah, pineapple. Henceforth, fruit may never stand for woman as a matter of course, automatic simulacrum. Representing desiccation and death, its husk shrivels seeds, invariably consumed by the indiscriminate, pulped, ground, chopped, tossed, force-fed syrup. This pineapple on the canvas may only be a woman when laid right, against an abstract background and cleaved by itself alone. Mane of forest, feral, fecund, imposing, monolithic, millennia apart from the tales our grandmothers tell us of Nanas's curse of vaginal ill health when eaten, yet retaining all the menace of such myth. A pox on you and your vaginas, it could say. But it loves the pith of a woman, and would never strike fear in her heart, like the murder of armored, segmented flesh, fork gone runny with sweet yellow juice. Chef de cuisine. I cannot cook, and I admire chefs. Cannot cook well enough for my liking. That is braised artichoke, lamb hearts tossed with a sprinkling of balsamic vinegar, but not without the special ingredients slashed over both meat and vegetable. A secret from childhood. Invented in the kitchen where she first saw death, swallowed grief by eating the carcasses of living things until the weight of killing lessened, and life became pains and fatigue she had earned the right to from decades of sweat. Such liquid out of her pores from trying, a straight line through to glory without looking to left or right, love's thwarted, uterus protected from end-bringing life, all time sucked into a licked clean plate, a greasy pot, presentation that reminded one enthusiastic diner of a Goya. Enough perspiration to refill the basins of prehistoric oceans, now deserts where patrons flew in to taste her wares, adding, she knew, with the fuel of those plains to the weight of the change that would render us extinct. Where she remembered for only 1 minute now each slab of day, the sweet blood of undercooked chicken on her tongue the night her mother had slipped with a knife. Ramadan. Count on always more in the wings. On incessant Jibril flying down at 8 to stroke your thin cheek with feathers. Tickling skin like you've heard Satan teases rocks with fire. Refuse to write the rhythms of prayer in italics. It's not that exotic. This is how you got raised and woken too early. Hordes up and down with black pechi, white mukana, scarlet post-zikr sunrises. Each year gone with its month of dates in the mouth when the dark bleeds in. Television blaring azan, an inevitable local waterfalls on screen, Maghrib. 4 other junctures of daily worship, a small spoon after, cool at the ready in sweets. God betrays everyone fast. 1 month must be taken to try to forgive her for it. Sing in quiet chanting together. Take off your artifice, throng at the table, solitude and quiet for every other time. luminous silver number 9. Gargantuan tombstones, Taj Mahal, mausoleums, while under our feet lovers buried their half-will to live, feeding grandchildren with aubergines nourished from disintegrated bone. At Yangti's funeral, an uncle says to 4 of us cousins clustered in a row, "Why do you artists always wear black?" So soon, her permission for us to laugh. Rope. The titular poem. Enter this room with something to unknot, each sinew a crumple of 9,000 braids. Pelicans crowd the bay. Outside is a storm of fester, hungry fish in wide bowls of mouths. The darkness in this room is a full birth for fear to clutch its flayed hold on. Step here, cracking your cries of expectations gone grizzled. Rest your wet head in the nook of the door. Watch me cut through a minotaur, head lolling down in my arms, soft beast. This is not a gift for any stranger. This murder was to strangle myth whole in the cranny of the maze, a beast in your chest choking, and no stories now from the dead. I want you to see how both of us make time go from the present. Everything in these 4 walls, an action, a slitting, watch, fire ants crawl to the horns. Sakinah. So, Malin Kundang is a Minang folktale, ay Minang, or Minangkabau, about an ungrateful son who returns from making his fortune and shuns his mother. As punishment, she turns him to stone. Sakinah is also the title of a sculpture by Ahmad Osni Pei in Rimbundahan Art Center, Malaysia, aside from being the title of this poem, which is based on the sculpture and the Malin Kundang legend. Sakinah. Where was Malin Kundang when you needed him for commiseration? Humans turned mineral artifacts proved difficult to come by around the Malacca Strait. You stand lofty in sun, jungle clearing. Yellow, pale daffodil where the light catches what would have been your shin, your knee, visitors craned up at the curves of your now multiplied necklines during events, obliviously snapping photographs, ears silent to blatant screams. In time, you stopped trying to be heard. What was your supposed sin? Vanity, lust, bloodlust, a fetus inside you couldn't bear to hold? Were you too beautiful to have been truthful, too trusting to imagine being a sculpture for the rest of your days? They never tell us that Malin Kundang had tried to reach his mother many times. It was she who first turned him away. In the night, frogs croak by your ankles. You hum a song for petrified aluminum. Minangkabau culture is also, we're the biggest matrilineal society in the world, so fun fact. Sungai di pesisir, or river on the shore. I always love to end readings with this diptych, I suppose, of poems, or they can be read as one poem. The first part is in Indonesian, and the second is my translation of the poem in English, but they should always be read together. Sungai di pesisir, river on the shore. Ada sungai di pesisir. Sini kalian, ikat tali diri ke samudra. There's a river on the shore. Come closer, tie the rope of yourself to the sea. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and you can get rope on the 9 Arches website and the ebook as well, and don't forget to support your local indie booksellers. Bye.